Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to begin by working on my Ficus elastica or my rubber trees. Here's a look at my planting of rubber trees. My goal for these trees is to keep them very small and try and get the leaf size quite tiny too. You can see on this branch the leaves are very, very small. As the tree gains vigor, the leaves get larger and larger. At the top of the tree, you can see the leaves are getting quite large, but they're still small for a Ficus elastica. They're probably an eighth the size a full-size tree would have. I'm going to begin the pruning now. Some branches I'll have to cut them back quite hard, others will be a light trim. I'm going to begin the work on the largest tree here in the 3-group planting. I have on the trunk line here, I have a bud facing forward and one facing backwards. So I could definitely prune the top off here, and I will. So here I go. Big cut coming up. Just like that. Out the back, I have a branch that's reaching upwards. I don't think I want any branches on the inside there. I think it'll just cause problems in the future, so I'm going to remove it entirely. Like that. I think all the other branches are okay. I've got one to the left here, a couple to the right. They're no problem for now. In future, you know, as these start growing, maybe I'll take some of the lower branches off, but for now I think they look fine. Let's go to this medium-sized tree here now. It's had a hard prune up top here. It's grown a new leader. I've got a bud on the inside of the corner there. I've got a leaf scar here out the front, which I could prune back to. And I think I will. I think I'll do a hard prune on this tree. So here I go. I'm going to take the whole top off here. Like that. And then I've got one smaller tree in the back here that also needs pruning. So on this one, I can keep some leaves. I've got a leaf coming up the bottom, one out the back, which is nice, so I'll prune just in front of the one that's facing the back of the planting. Like that. And then I've got this one growing vertically here. It's looking quite nice. I think I'll just take the top off. Like that. So that's got that planting all pruned up. It's ready to grow once again. I could remove this one leaf here. It's growing across the top of this branch, so I'll take that one off to get some light in there. I'll also take this one off. It's kind of shading the branch underneath it. Like that. I'll give you a close-up of it. Here's a close-up of my 3-tree group planting. Keeping it small and miniature. I think it's looking quite nice. I'll put my little Ficus elasticas back on the bench, and next I'll get out my clump style group of Ficus elasticas. I've got my clump style here in the poly house over here. So I have my forest of Ficus elasticas here, and over here I have the clump style, and you can see it's getting really, really big, quite spreading. So today I'm going to prune it back. While we're here in the poly house, I'll show you an update. This is my grapefruit tree that I thought was dead. The top of it died here over the winter. There was no sign of life until recently. And you can see on the trunk here, there's a new shoot up top here. There's a new shoot off the side here. And there's one at the base and one on the inside here. So it's definitely alive and growing finally. So that's a big relief. Here is a look at my clump style Ficus elastica planting. It's similar to that little one, except there's more trees and they're larger. They're growing really well. This is a dark leaf variety. They have very colorful growing tips, and the leaves are a very dark kind of olive green color, almost a army olive. Here's a look at the base of these trees. There's a big root coming out here that's growing kind of along the surface. I may remove that. It's really big and thick and heavy. Let me show you a close-up of that. Here's a look at that root growing across the surface. You can see it there. It's kind of a thick root. It's not a very good looking root, so I think it'll have to be removed, and I'll replace it with finer roots as they grow in. This surface root here that's getting really thick is quite vigorous. You can tell by the thickness of it. So if I cut it off on an angle and I just bury it with some soil, there's a 95% chance that I'll get more fine roots growing from the cut point to replace this single thick root here. So that's what I'll do. I'll start the work by digging around the root, seeing if I can sort of unbury it all, so I can come in with the pruners and cut it off at the angle. So that's quite good there. All right, let me come in with the cutters now. Let's see if I can come in at an angle here. So my angle cut will go downward. So here I go. Big cut coming up. Just like that. So that's severed. And then you can either pull the root out like that, or you can just cut it off level with the surface of the soil and let it kind of rot away. So that's what I'll do with the other end here. So this end, I'll just pull it up out of the soil and prune it off. Like that. That gets that root out. Next, I'll come in and bury that cut with soil. Keep it well watered, and I should get a lot of new fine roots growing out around that cut point. I'm going to prune the top of the trees now. And my question is how large do I want this clump style planting? Do I want it, a giant planting? Or do I want to reduce it really small? Or maybe somewhere in between? So I'm going to step back and have a look at the tree. If I look at the tree, most of the branching starts down low. So I think I want to prune it just a little bit higher, trying to keep as many of my sub-branching as I can. And when I prune it off hard like this, I'll get new branches form. So I should eventually get a fairly dense canopy. All right, here I go. So I've got a nice branch here. This one's getting very long and straight. There's an outward facing leaf scar here, so I'll prune just above there. So here I go, like that. Taking the top off. The little shoot here, I'm just going to prune the tip off. There's a downward facing leaf here, so I'll prune just in front of that. So my new branch will grow in a little more horizontally. I've got a trunk line here. I'll want to prune it off approximately the same height as my other one, so I will take it off right here. Here I go. Like that, taking that whole top off that trunk line. Now my tallest leader is here. I want to keep the branches and trunks in the center of the planting a little taller. So I do have a leaf up top here. Let me show you that. So here's the possible new leader for the trunk line of this tree. So I'll prune it off above here. And if it's too tall, I can always prune it back later. Once I step back and look at the overall composition. So there's the top off that. On this branch here, I have a leaf coming fanning outwards and another one back here. So I want to keep both of those and prune the tip off like that. I'll remove these leaves on the inside just to let more light to the interior of this planting, which may encourage more branching on the inside. The next one here, I've got a branch up top here, so I could take the whole top off that tree, and I will leave a little stump here. It may develop another branch from that leader. Growing up here, I have another one that's fairly vertical, and I'll want to prune it a little taller than, you know, the other ones on the outside. So I have a leaf bud here, so I'll take the whole top off here, like that. Rotating around, I've got one fanning out here. I have a leaf fanning out here. I think I'll take it off just above that, like that. I've got a tall trunk line here, so there's no leaves in this area, but I can see leaf scars. There's one here and one here. Both are fanning outwards nicely, so I'll prune just above there, like that. You can see all the white latex sap that's leaking out. These trees are very vigorous, so they should recover from this pruning operation without any problems. Now I've got one, it's a branch coming off of this trunk line that's growing up the middle, and it's kind of reaching outwards, and I want to redirect it more vertical. So I have a leaf scar right here, so I'll prune just above that, like that, and it should grow a little more vertical up the center. I have a branch fanning to the inside here. I'll remove that. Nice little branch. It's just growing in the wrong place. So that's got my pruning done. I'm going to rotate it back to the front, and we'll step back and have a look at it. Here is the Blue Jay Bonsai Carnage Cam. So there was a lot taken off this one. Big giant branches and leaders. Here is a look at my clump style Ficus elastica. I think it's a good size. It's sort of a medium size tree at the moment. I'm sure it'll get larger as it gets more branching up top, but I think it's coming along nicely. I think it's a good looking clump style planting. These trees can look fantastic in nature as they get older, and I'm hoping this one eventually gets aerial roots and it gets a nice flared trunk and nice root base. It'll be an exciting tree to develop into the future. I'm going to finish today by pruning up my Ficus elastica forest. It's a fairly young forest, so it's got a lot of development to go. I'm going to start by pruning up the largest tree in the forest. It has a lot of branching already, which is nice to see. I'm just going to trim it up, shortening all my branches to outward facing leaves, so to here. Take that leaf off on the inside, this leaf off on the inside, just to clean it up a bit. I've got a shoot here which only has 2 leaves on it, so I'll leave that alone. This leader here, I've got some branches or leaves facing outwards, which will turn into branches facing outwards. And again, I'll remove my leaves on the inside here to allow more light into the interior of the forest. There's an old leaf here I can remove, bit of debris. Now, on this tree I have, this trunk line comes up, and then I have one that kind of crosses back into the interior of the tree, and I'm not sure I want that. It's kind of a bit of an odd branch. It could be the leader of the tree if I pruned off the leader on the right hand side, but then, you know, I've got some branch division here. I should do that because I would get a change of taper here. This section is quite straight and it doesn't taper much. I'm wondering what that would look like. It looks a little awkward because it's on the same angle as this branch. I think I better remove it totally. It's just not in a good place, so here I go. it's gone. That lets a lot of light into the interior of the tree. I'll prune these tall leaves or branches back, not leaves. I'm looking for leaf scars. Here's one here. Take the whole top off that tree. And this one, I want to kind of grow this direction, so I'll take it off here. Like that. I've got some branches here that I can reduce. Take the tip off. This one I'll take off to here. Taking that whole top off. There's a lot of bleeding going on here. So the main tree is getting quite compact now. You may not be able to see it. This is a very dark leaf tree against a black background, which is never a good combination. There's one more branch down here I can prune to there. There's a lot of spider webs in here too. Okay, I think that's got the main tree pruned up. So next I'll move to this little one on the outside here. It's got a bit of a straight trunk here, a new leader. I'll prune it back to where? I want to go, shorter than this branch, so I think I'll have to take it back to here. Pruning it to this height. I've got a branch reaching out from the bottom here, which is kind of, I like it. It's quite nice. I'll just prune the tip off it. I'll let that grow, thicken up. I've got a branch kind of growing out towards the back here. I'm going to redirect that, so I'll prune it off short here, like that. That's got this tree pruned up. Now let's do this one. So I want this one shorter than the main tree. I've got a branch out to the side here, so I think I want to reduce the apex back to here. Big cut, like that, taking the top off. It's a pretty hard pruning today. Then, it looks like I've got a stub here that died off. That's too bad. I'll prune that away. I'll clean up my stub here from the last time I pruned it, making it flush. Like that. Now I've got a leaf fanning out the back, another one fanning out the back here, so I'll take it off here, this one. And I'll take the leaf off on the interior to let more light in. And I got a branch here. I think I don't want it growing in towards the interior of the tree, so I have a leaf facing out the back, so I'll take it just above that, kind of redirecting it out the back of the forest. So that's got that tree pruned up. Next I'll do this tree. It has a shoot at the base, which is nice. It comes up, it divides into two here, and then there's a long leader that's taken off, so I just need to reduce this back. So I think I will go back to here, like that, taking the top off. That gets that a nice height. The next tree is the one on the outside of the forest. I want that quite short. So I will prune it, I think, where? I think here. Pruning it off to this leaf that's facing forwards. The next tree back here, I'll prune this leader back, just taking the tip off. And then I've got a long vigorous branch here which I can reduce back. And I think I'll go to here, like that. That leaves one more tree at the back of the planting here, this one. So I will start by pruning this one, and I'm looking for leaf scars out the back here. So there's one here, so I'll prune just above that, taking that whole top off. That sounds like a zombie apocalypse. This branch, I have a leaf scar here, so I'll move it to right here. hard prune there. And then I've just got 2 little branches here, actually 3. I have one on the inside here. The one on the inside here is pointing straight towards the viewer. I don't think I need that one. I'm going to take it off. Nice branch, just in the wrong place. The one coming out here is fine, but I do need to redirect it. It's a little bit straight looking. Or do I need it? Because I have my major trunk division up here, I don't know if I need one on the inside there. I'm going to remove it. Again, nice branch, just not a good location. That leaves my vertical leader here. I think that's fine. I'm just going to let that grow. There's nothing wrong with that one. So that has got my forest pruned up. Wow, what a pile of branches I took off here. Big branches. So you can see the forest is looking quite nice from above now. The trees are getting good light. Let's have a look at it from the front. Most ficus, you don't need to seal the cuts. You can see the cuts are filled with the white latex. So they seal themselves. You can see all the latex that's dripped down on the bench here. Here's a look at the forest from the front now. A lot of people wouldn't consider Ficus elastica as a bonsai. They think the leaves are too large, but I know they can be reduced over time. As I get more and more branching, the leaf size will come down to something that's quite reasonable. Even the leaves that are on the tree now are quite a reasonable size, and it makes an attractive forest planting. Before I began the work on the Ficus elastica today, the Ficus elastica forest and the clump style took up this entire corner of the greenhouse here. And now that they're pruned up, I've got lots of space here, which is always nice. You can get in with the watering can a little easier now, and the trees are looking good. There is still plenty of time before the end of summer for all these Ficus elastica to grow in new branches, and they'll be nice and compact and a little more miniature before I have to bring them in for fall. So that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.